feeling frustrated or even disheartened because your child seemed to be making incredible progress with their neurological challenges and then suddenly everything stalled? Maybe you've noticed some regression, some behaviors returning that you thought were gone forever, sleep disruptions creeping back in, or emotional regulation challenges resurfacing. If you're wondering if the care plan is failing or if something's wrong, I want you to take a deep breath and hear this, because plateaus and even regressions are often a normal and necessary part of the healing process. Because the neurological healing journey is rarely a straight line. In fact, it's more like a roller coaster with its fair share of ups and downs and unexpected twists. But here's the thing that parents often miss: those plateaus aren't signs of failure. They're actually evidence that your child's nervous system is working through deeper layers of dysfunction and adapting to a new level of organization. So, this message is going to be for parents whose children are on a neurological healing journey. Whether your child struggles with sensory processing or ADHD and autism, anxiety, developmental delays, or other chronic health challenges, and you've noticed periods where progress seems to stall or even reverse. But today I'm going to explain why these plateaus happen, from growth spurts and immune challenges to environmental factors and emotional stress. You're going to learn how to identify different types of healing plateaus, but also understand the science behind them and gain the confidence to navigate these challenging periods with patience and with resilience. So as a neurologically focused chiropractor, I see this pattern daily in practice. Nearly every parent who brings their child in for care will experience what research refers to as nonlinear healing progress. So the research on neuroplasticity shows that the brain has the ability to reorganize itself, forming new connections and in some instances, even generating new neurons. But it's been discovered and observed that children typically experience periods of rapid advancement followed by consolidation phases where skills are then integrated. The same pattern applies to neurological healing, where taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back in a progression isn't a failure, it's actually the brain's natural way of reorganizing and creating lasting change. So first, let's discuss growth spurts and developmental milestones as a common cause for plateaus. So when your child is growing rapidly or mastering new developmental skills, their body's energy and resources may be directed toward physical growth and neural integration. And during growth spurts, your child's body is working intensely to be able to lay down new bone, muscle, and neural tissue, requiring tremendous amounts of energy that may temporarily be diverted from other healing processes. Now, this can show up as increased moodiness or disrupted sleep patterns or temporary regression in other areas as their nervous system focuses in on integrating these physical changes. But remember that these growth-related pauses are ultimately signs of progress, not setbacks. And each time your child's nervous system successfully integrates a new skill, it becomes more resilient overall. Parents, another significant factor in plateaus is immune challenges and their effect on the healing process. So fevers and illnesses aren't simply obstacles to progress, they're sophisticated neurological responses that can actually accelerate healing in the long run. Now, when a child has a fever, their immune system triggers the hypothalamus thermoregulatory center, so leading to increased body temperature. Now, this activates immune cells and creates an environment that's inhospitable to pathogens. Now, during this process, the nervous system diverts resources to orchestrate the immune response, which can temporarily manifest as lethargy, as irritability, or a seeming disconnection. Now, the fever process stimulates the release of neurotrophic factors. Now, these are special proteins that support neuronal growth and plasticity, potentially accelerating neurological development after recovery. Now, this is why we often see major breakthroughs following an illness, though there may be a brief regression immediately after the illness. Since we live in Houston, the environmental factors like toxins and mold exposure can significantly impact neurological progress. So the children with pre-existing neurological challenges often have nervous systems that are already dysregulated, making them more sensitive to environmental toxins. So from pesticides and heavy metals in food to flame retardants in our furniture and VOCs and cleaning products and the chemicals in our personal care products, these accumulated toxins can disrupt normal neurological function. So mold exposure, whether from hidden leaks or poor ventilation, releases mycotoxins that can lead to cognitive impairments and neurological signs. Now, these environmental stressors can contribute to temporary plateaus in progress as the body works to process and eliminate the substances. So let's address how emotional stress and busy life changes create what appear to be setbacks. So, major transitions like starting a new school year or subtle shifts in family dynamics can trigger the sympathetic fight or flight response in children with neurological challenges. Now, this stress response releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which can quickly become overwhelming for children with pre existing nervous system dysregulation. Over time, this chronic state of stress can contribute to developing patterns of stress and subluxation, so areas of dysfunction within their nervous system that further perpetuate that cycle of dysregulation. Now, this is why we often see regressions during periods of change or high emotion. The nervous system is allocating resources to manage the perceived stress rather than continuing to make developmental progress. And finally, let's discuss how medication and therapy overload can contribute to plateaus. So many medications are designed to suppress or override the signs rather than resolve the root cause of neurological dysfunction. So it's almost like it's acting like a mute button for signs that the body is still struggling with underneath. And when we begin true healing by restoring brain body communication and balancing the nervous system, it's like the body begins to wake up again, sometimes temporarily resurfacing underlying patterns. Now, the nervous system has a limited capacity, which is why we recommend prioritizing nervous system regulation first and then gradually layering in additional therapies. Parents, we know that healing plateaus can be so frustrating. So please do not get discouraged. Most of the time, it's simply one or more of these outside stressors just putting a bit of headwind in play. And once that stressor passes and your child builds up additional resilience and adaptability, they're going to blow right past it and be right back on the path to progress and breakthroughs once again. Check the link in our bio or the link below to be able to learn more about these plateaus in children's healing.